Woohoo!
Oh god, not this again.
Okay, hello, we're back. Long walk. Fuck yeah, let's go. Hi Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing really flipping good, Bill. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Just finished work, so now I'm dedicating more time to this damn podcast.
More time to the podcast.
So
more episodes.
I'm joining Dan in unemployment territory.
Go.
But no, it's all good. We're fine. We're gonna hit this hard. We're gonna do it justice. Okay, Dan, what's the topic for today's video?
Mushrooms. Like last week.
Mushrooms.
Only joking.
Oh.
Fine, we can talk about mushrooms if you want to.
You know
God.
what? You've got, great fungus. Like, we're going to talk about some great recipes you can cook up in your kitchen.
Jeez.
Absolutely fantastic. Okay, well, in actuality, we're not talking about mushrooms today, sadly, to our fun guys in the audience. We are instead talking about films and books. And we're just talking about how they sort of intertwine and sort of them as pieces of art. But I think like the main thing that we're going to sort of address initially is, should you watch the book before?
I was thinking like,
hold on.
Wait a second.
Should you watch the film before you read the book? That's what we're talking about today. Sorry.
Yeah.
You can watch a book, but
not much will happen if you watch them. Oh, wow.
It's got a great cover art.
Yeah.
So you maybe want that. But yeah, moving on from my errors, we're going to talk a little bit about that. So Dan, what do you think you should do? Should you read the book before you watch the film, or should you watch the film before you read the book?
I mean, I'm going to say one thing, but I do the complete opposite a lot of the time. I would say if you read the book first and then read the film, you'll have a better understanding of the film and like the whole story and stuff. That being said, I always end up watching the film first.
Okay.
Like, take Lord of the Rings. I literally just started reading Lord of the Rings. I know, I'm sorry to anyone who's like read it. It's like, how the flip if you're not whatever. Have you not read it yet and watched the films? But so
okay, that's good. I'm gonna move this.
That's cool.
A bit. Sorry, ignore that. But no, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of the school of thought where I view them kind of as separate pieces of art.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, obviously they are, and
yeah,
and so like I guess integrally they're different, but I think obviously what binds the two in relation to like books that get adapted to films, which is quite a lot of the time, a lot of films take inspiration from books and true stories. I think actually it's quite rare nowadays even to see a film that is completely in and of itself like the art for the sake of art, because even like comic books and stuff, you have Marvel and everything doing all of
true,
like being the zeitgeist of the time.
Oh, that is,
So I mean, that's why I guess you see this as the story as the linking factor. Obviously, like the tropes and things, the motifs, all of that. That's all separate and can be picked up by the director or picked up by the writer, and they have, because they're different kind of interactions with the art. So they're going to do different things with it, and also it depends if you've got the writer even involved with the making of the film.
I think generally you should have the writer involved.
Yeah,
that definitely makes for a better story in the film.
Yeah, you got that sort of integrity, and they will probably help to highlight what they want to be highlighted, and so you get a good reflection of the novel with the film. I think, in terms of like length and things, there are a few epics that do tend to like get to 4 hours, things like that, but you do tend to spend more time with a book, especially if you're reading at a slower pace.
I'm a very slow reader.
A film is typically it'll be over and done with. Even like some of the longer films, obviously there are exceptions to this rule that do extend for genuinely 5 hours, but those require a big.
I've never seen a 5 hour film.
I've heard about them, and they do require a big old commitment. But
I can imagine.
I know the most films will be over and done within 3 hours typically. I mean, even the big
2
ones,
hours nowadays.
Even like sometimes you get sub 90-minute films that are intended for a different purpose, and and that's absolutely fine. But that's what you kind of get, and so you spend more time with a book. So when you're spending more time with a book, you're spending more time with sort of the writer in for some things, because you're spending time with their thoughts, their techniques, how they speak, how they want the ideas to be presented. That's what you're spending time with.
What do you think is a better value for money than a film or a book?
Ooh, well, you see, now everything everybody believes, because everything's creeping up in price all the time nowadays. And so if you go to Cineworld, for example, nowadays, which is our kind of local sort of cinema chain, depending on where you're listening to this, if you're in the UK, you'll know what this is. I don't even know if they have them in the US, but
I don't know.
But if you're watching this anywhere else, we have sort of Cineworld. It's like a big, the big cinema kind of chain, and that like commands maybe, I think for us now, an adult ticket. I mean, obviously the people have sort of concessions and stuff. They have like children, and children ticket prices, student prices under.
But like just
18.
for a normal adult,
ticket, you're going to be set, but it's going to be more than £10.
I think it's £11.80.
£11.80, and that's a lot. Now I was looking at.
I might be wrong there, by the way. Like I just think that's what I paid last time.
I was looking at Broadway, which is a cinema chain that we have lots of local tours.
I like that cinema a lot.
Yeah, and it's fantastic vibe, and it's in a very nice area called Hockley in Nottingham. That's where our local Broadway is, and I do believe there's a few others in other areas. I think Manchester,
I think so.
Probably.
Yeah, Manchester.
Must be in London as well. And they command prices for under 25s. It's only £4.50 for a ticket, and that's fantastic.
That's really good.
And that's not. You don't even have to be a student; you just have to be under 25.
Yeah,
and then like
we're good.
And so once you get higher than that, it's and a full ticket price will only really command like £8, I think it is at the moment.
Yeah,
and that's and that's sort of like a more of an independent cinema chain. So that's what you're paying for that. A book, you're paying more like.
I think it depends.
Price.
I'd say similar price to a cinema ticket, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you will get maybe deals and things on sale if they're £4.50.
And you get them second hand and things. Like I paid £2.50 for Steve Jobs' biography.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
usually like 20 quid. So I mean,
exactly.
It's not like you can buy a £2.50 cinema ticket.
Exactly. Yeah, you do sort of have to pay for those, and obviously maybe you could entwine like sort of refreshments and ththings with the cinema ticket. But like you could do the same with books. As you're reading your book, you need to live. You need to have those 2,000 calories just to exist in a day. You gotta eat something. So like I guess the step up in price, I guess all of the commodities and everything associated with the cinema makes the cinema more expensive because you have to get there, you have to spend time, and time is money. Things just like even just getting your way to be able to view the art and paying to view the art. But and then once you view the art in a cinema setting, for example, then it's gone. With rise of things like Netflix and obviously stuff like DVDs, you can revisit the art and things. But that's you don't even own it; you just experience it that one time.
That's true. Yeah.
Whereas like books, that's yours.
Yeah, but going off the time is money thing, doesn't it take way longer to read a book?
It does take way longer to read the book. So I guess there is another. Yeah,
it depends on what you're doing, really. If you're the kind of person who wants to work flipping 24 hours a day, then maybe the book isn't the best way of going about it. But
exactly, yeah.
I think a book is a really good way of you kind of lose yourself in a book like way more than you do in a film. At least for me personally, I get really into books. If I watch a film, I can kind of be passive. In a book, I'm like actively involved. I'm like, I'm flipping running with Frodo through Mordor. This is mental. Kinda.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I do find that but and also I think the same thing can be said for both. Films can be good or bad. Books can be good or bad. And
I've read lots of bad books.
Definitely. So it's hard sometimes to pick and choose. What is the best art experience to have? You do get fantastic films, and you do get shit films. You can definitely see the difference between a Pulp Fiction and a Shrek the Third. You can. There are like big sort of like.
Shrek the Third obviously being the example of the good film in this.
Sorry, didn't know if I made that clear enough. You do get these sort of big voids, I guess, sort of between like how much you can appreciate the art or how well the art is presented. So sometimes it can even be difficult to know how to spend your time, and often I think reviews are a good indicator of that. But I think for some things, I would trust a film review from maybe Roger Ebert, I think his name is. I think he recently passed away, but he was like a very famed film critic. I'd probably trust like a film critic's opinion over a book critic's opinion for some things, because I would say a book critic, I'd say there's so many more ways I see in a book that could possibly relate to relate to a person that's reading it. I think there's like so many more caveats and things that can
people can interpret the book differently.
And so they may think something is so important, like a motif is so important that it has to be said, but like a director or something in a film could emphasize and you completely drown out the other motifs. So there's nothing
a good point,
to be seen there, and that's why it's tricky. I think there's also a lot more elements to the film, because you're not just dealing with a storyline for
No,
something. You're not just dealing with like a narrative. You're not dealing with just like the bare bones of it. That's in a sense your script, and then on top of that you've got cameras, you've got lighting, you've got directing, you've got actors,
you've got your musical score,
absolutely. There's so many more elements to it, and that can really either enrich or hinder, I think, the art.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if you have a score which is like too epic, it will take away. Like you'll be distracted by the score and not really.
Yeah, exactly. The story. It's a really interesting sort of thing. So I'd probably err on the side of, I'd probably say book before film. Yeah. But saying that, I kind of would prefer to just treat them as separate entities. I think that the book will probably maybe enhance. Yeah. I think the book experience will be in and of itself very good, and I think you should probably treat the film, separately to it. For some things, I don't even know if you should read the book and watch the film. Maybe you should just pick one. Yeah, pick one that you're going to enjoy more, and stick with it, because I think it can colour and can ruin even your experience of a book.
Yeah, it could do.
To see like an actor who looks nothing like what you'd pictured, and you can end up sort of like resenting it. And maybe you're good, maybe you're like more, maybe you're able to keep that book on like a higher pedestal, and you're able to sort of separate the art, definitely. But sometimes it can sort of infiltrate in colour when you're reading it, and so you don't want to have your memory, I guess,
yeah, I know what you mean. Tainted.
Tainted. There you go.
Oh, cool.
Something like.
Got it.
Gee, that could have been awkward. But yeah, that's my kind of take.
No. Going back off what you were saying to like trusting a film critic over it. Well, not trusting, but taking more from a film critic than you would from a book critic. You look at I'm thinking of Rotten Tomatoes. What's your take on that? Because there's no Rotten Tomatoes for books, but. Would you, when you like look if you should watch a film, do you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score and be like, this is a good or bad film?
Is Rotten Tomatoes like public?
I think anyone can submit a review.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can do it quite easily.
When I see Rotten Tomatoes scores, I don't. That doesn't make me want to not check out or check out a film. I think for me, for when I want to watch a film, like I'm just kind of maybe public opinion almost. Like if a film is hailed as bad, or if I know that I'm not going to like a film going into it because I think it's going to be boring, like a Marvel film. Like I've seen a few Marvel films, so I know that I'm not going to like the new Marvel film because I just don't like the superhero thing. It's just not my thing, and that's fine. Like it's not like I don't want everyone else to have.
I'm different. I really enjoy the Marvel films.
Really. Yeah. I mean, like that's because I don't want everyone else to. I hate Marvel films, so everyone else has to hate Marvel films.
It's just an opinion.
They've not got good taste. No, if they want to watch that, and if that's their and they enjoy that, then that's all there is to it. It's kind of happiness for some things. If it evokes happiness or whatever evokes enjoyment, that's what you need. That's what you need, man. And so, I mean, what do you think? Like, do you like when you're picking a film or a book?
When I pick a film, I think a lot of the time it's I agree with what you said. Like, other people saying, "Oh, it's a good or a bad film," and then like a lot of hearsay kind of things. Like, "Oh, I heard this film's really good." Like, I probably wouldn't have watched Pulp Fiction the first time. I hadn't been told like, it's kind of like a cult classic kind of thing. I was like, oh wow, okay, and that kind of opened my eyes to the whole Tarantino thing. Like, wow, suddenly it's like, okay, this is a whole different style of filmmaking. Inglourious Bastards, Hateful Eight, that was Tarantino, wasn't it?
That was Tarantino.
Actually, Hateful Eight.
Hey, don't kill me.
Kill me. Well, if you say
so. Well. Sorry.
I mean, I'm just gone Hateful Eight. I don't know if that's my favorite. I don't really rate Hateful Eight that much. It was cool in like the concept, but this isn't a film review. I'm just saying Tarantino films. It's not my favorite of his.
Oh really? Okay.
No. Have you seen Inglourious Bastards?
I have. I'm not gonna lie. I love films, but I'm really behind on my like film watching.
The classics,
I've watched like Shawshank Redemption.
Fair, I've missed loads of films.
Yeah, I need to. That's something that we're gonna get more into it, and we may even cover it on the website. Yeah. So plug that LongWalk.live, TheLongWalk.live. Go and hit up that. Dan's going to be doing a book review imminently.
Which is interesting because we were just talking about not trusting people who do book reviews as much.
But you can
critique me even more. Like, what the shit are you talking about?
I haven't done it. That's go and check it out. Go and check it out. He's gonna whatever book he's talking about. He's talking about it for a reason, You're gonna want to check that out.
That's kind of read this book. Trust me.
No matter what he says, you've got to know that he's talking about.
It's another one of those kind of like almost life-changing reading experiences. Ooh. And that being, it's relatively short. Like the other book which completely changed my life was, I'll name drop it, was Steve Jobs' biography. I don't know why I keep going back to this book, but it was that influential.
Oh wow!
And that's the thing about books. I've never had a film which has been like, fuck, I've got to change my life. But
really?
Yeah, I've never had a film which has been like,
I have.
mad. Have you?
I have. there's been Goodwill Hunting.
Was fair enough.
Was a big one. And actually, another Robin Williams one, Dead Poets Society.
I've never seen it.
That's a fantastic one to watch.
Yeah.
Those films definitely kind of coloured a lot of stuff in my life. I do think that I'd put them up to that pedestal. I'll say now, I haven't read a book that has changed my life. I have not read a book that's changed my life. But saying that, to be honest, at the moment, like, I'm woefully ignorant on a bunch of books as well as films. I have my life has kind of been a bit consumed by music. I'm not going to countenance that. Like, that's kind of what I've basically been a bit obsessed with that at the moment. So I need to branch off into those more different realms.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a need to, but like,
I guess maybe just a personal
if you want
want.
to do it,
personal want, yeah. And so that's. So, where did we get to before I plugged your book?
We were talking about book review, and then we went to your films.
Films, yes. I mean, I do think that those kind of films just. I mean, I don't really know. What I kind of say is there's so much more personability, I think, to a film, in my opinion. Yeah. I'd say that. When you watch a film, you've got this so many, like, I guess, elements. You've got this actor, that you're watching currently, you've got the dialogue, you've got, the supporting actors, you've got the framework and things. And even, and one of those things going wrong can sort of maybe even ruin the experience for you. Yeah. And so that's why I think when a film gets it right, it gets it so right. And I agree with that. I think it's brilliant. I think, a book probably maybe more easy to be good. It's not easy to write a book.
Oh, no.
No way.
Not
at all.
I couldn't.
I've even tried, like, just doing bits of writing. Like, you can go to a website. You're just doing bits of writing, like, and I struggle even to write a few pages. Like, I can't imagine keeping an idea that I'd sort of maybe view as being so good and so paramount that I'd continue and spend so much time doing it. That's crazy.
There's definitely an awesome amount of creativity which goes into, like, just coming up with a story. Like a compelling story, I can't imagine being easy to come up with.
No, and that's why so many films do borrow. That's just it. I feel like that's why you see films like Pulp Fiction. I hope Pulp Fiction isn't based on anything else, but I think it is just a film in and of itself. And I think the film in and of itself is so good, so original, so unique.
I love that film a lot.
And the way it is told is perfect, and it's something that only a film can do well. I think a book, if you chop and change that much, you don't have visual cues, you don't have anything else, you have to pick on very subtle elements, so I think it's very hard to reciprocate it in a book.
I think those kind of films, like, they're iconic for, like, lots of reasons. One of them is, like, there's so many lines from it which you will remember, like, English motherfucker, do you speak it? Love that scene. And then there's the I don't know, the John Travolta dancing scene for some reason sticks in me all the time with a bum shaking. Sorry, the podcast listeners won't be able to see what I'm doing, but
and then Royale with cheese. Royale with cheese. The dialogue there is held in such high esteem. It's like, this is some serious gourmet shit right here.
yeah.
So
that's, like, a meme at the moment.
It is as well. I have actually seen that kicking about, and that's why I do love when the dialogue is just perfect. It's bang on. People say things because they mean them. They're saying something because it's like, for them, that is the conviction. They need to say it. There's no just, like, needless stuff. Even when something might be considered filler, it's not. It, like, serves a purpose in the hierarchy kind of the film. You wanna make sure you're listening. You want to catch up on all of this, and I think that becomes, like, a fundamental difference. I think you get a film and you can do so much with it. You can do that kind of storytelling. You can do documentaries and you can do interviews, and you can, do even YouTube videos, even little short films. Like, get back to what a film is. It's just a set of moving images with some sound attached. That's all it is on a base level.
Being played at you very quickly.
Yeah, and so, like, what you can do with that is so unlimited for some things, and there's so many different ways of filming, and that's why you can make maybe educational videos a lot more successfully than you could make an educational book for some things. I think especially when explaining shorter topics, stuff like that.
100%.
And on the flip side, you've got books, which I've got, like, a set of books of, like, the Penguin Great Ideas, that some of the Communist Manifesto, works of writing that have been passed down from centuries ago.
Yeah.
And because of the fact that film hasn't been around so long, so obviously we'll be able to write loads of stuff and make loads of art that future generations can look back on. But then they'll get to a point, they'll get to late 1800s, and they'll think, well, okay, where's all the film? Well, the film's gone, and that's because they don't exist. And you need to experience life before that. You have to go back and look at the physical readings and writings and stuff of people been and gone. And I think that is also a huge sort of difference. You will struggle to, make maybe a film that is as succinct as a work from 1605. Like, it's not articulated the right way. It's not expressed the right way. But with a book, the words cannot lie. They have written those words, and those have been passed down and maybe translated maybe from Latin or something. But they are still, substantially the same. And that's a big thing, I think.
This is a quick question. I think it's a Penguin classic. Aurelius.
I have heard of it. I think I've heard of it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I've not read it, but I'm intrigued about it. And this kind of goes off what you were saying about like the ancient writings and stuff. Like, it was. I might be wrong here, but I seem to like. It's like a Roman emperor, and it's about like his anecdotes like on life and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And like, even though they were written like 1,000 years ago. Also, I can't remember when the Roman Empire was kicking about. I'm sorry, was it 2000? That's the Greeks.
No, it was. I think 2000. I think it was like. Oh God, you see, this is a problem now. I think it was like.
1066.
It was around. It was around the turn of the ADs and the BCs.
Yeah, so like 2000ish years ago.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, like there's words which were written a long time ago.
Yeah.
Still hold up today in an age where we have internet. We're not throwing spears at each other. We're not walking around with massive shields and stuff. We don't drink wine out of massive pots and things.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I mean, it just shows you, I guess, sort of how evolved we are now to being able to create art, and even painting, obviously, like that even goes back, before.
Oh yeah, that's like the first.
Yeah, like the Paleolithic age, where like people were doing doing cave paintings and stuff. That transcends even proper speech and proper what we would consider today to be speech and writing. It just mimicking, reflective of that everyday kind of life. The hunt, a big part of like man before everything else.
Yeah.
And like our creations ever since have been able to, we've just enhanced the way we can express ourselves so much. We can, nowadays, we can go out and learn a new language and be able to communicate with it and understand a whole breadth of stuff that, wasn't attainable to us before, but we can just learn that. And, we can sort of do and as we choose and as we please kind of thing, and that's crazy. And when we view, I guess, art, we view like films and books, like, I guess they're all sort of just different forms of art that need to, I guess, have their own. They have that like own little segment, their own little realm for some things that they can exist in, and it's not like dependent on anything else. Just they can be in and of itself that feature of art, and I think there will be more ways to express ourselves in years to come. Even with the internet and things, we can now. Obviously video and stuff is more accessible. Yeah, I mean, the same way, I think you may see shit in the future that's gonna blow your mind. Wild. The way we can express ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. You've got the audio, the visual, like just for a video, and then you got like the writing on paper for your books. You got your paintings. The only one which is like which you could write or produce and like have it internationally understood would be a painting, wouldn't it? So I mean, maybe we'll end up having more of a like. An internationally accessible form of entertainment, we'll call it.
I guess that's also like a problem, I guess, with the book and with films for some things as well, because of the fact that they are dependent mostly. I mean, you can have certain films that aren't, and obviously most can be subtitled and are subtitled, but I guess it's a limitation in that they are not universally understood without some aid from someone else who has dedicated their life to translating or learning new languages and being able to just change your dialects and change your tones. Like, unless you've got that, then you're kind of stuck in the mud, which is why, your comment about paintings is so true. We will probably now search for more universally, felt forms of art that don't need any additional writing. They don't need any additional sort of dialogue for some things even. And then that might even give birth a resurgence of the dialogue, because then people will want more of that, because they don't want their language to be lost, because it's such a beautiful way to express ourselves. Language can even be considered art.
I understand. I mean, that's kind of what a book is, isn't it? It's like language in art. It's just reflective of everything.
You can poetry, all of that spoken word, that genuinely is the embodied form of
what's it called, like smash poetry, or what's it,
slam poetry.
Slam poetry, that's the one. Yeah,
or even this podcast can be considered a shit piece of art
or a great piece of art,
or a great piece of sorry, I'm pessimistic over here. But I don't think there's any kind of boundaries for that. And so if we bring it all the way back to just that film versus book thing, it really, they are, I guess we kind of treated them going into this maybe as more independent things than they actually are. Maybe everything's kind of different in its own way. And even because there's obviously subgenres of film and stuff, there's even different types. You could have an entire film without any speech. And even like music and stuff that can enhance that can even enhance a reading experience. You could even make a book that was designed to have a soundtrack.
Maybe if you uploaded the soundtrack to Spotify.
I feel like that's been done. There's no way that's
been done. We're not that
I must have got that from somewhere.
We're not that clever.
Oh my god! Quick, cut the cameras. We're gonna
trademark it.
Patents.
It wouldn't work for me. I'm too slow at reading.
Yeah, no.
I'd be like on, for example, Lord of the Rings again. I'd be still in the Shire, and suddenly I've got this battle music going on. Meanwhile, Frodo's sipping on tea.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck's going on?
Jesus Christ. That
getting stressed out over this tea scene.
I haven't listened to many, but I wonder if that could be an implementation for maybe audiobooks to have a little bit of background noise to that. Do they have that?
I don't know. I've not listened to any audiobooks ever.
Oh, have you not? I haven't either.
Actually, tell a lie. Oh, hello. Just block my mic.
God.
Tell a lie. When I was about 3, I had a cassette tape with a German story on it, Benjamin Blümchen. So it's basically this big, friendly, talking elephant. Doing things like baking cakes with his mate or whatever. It's great. Jawohl.
Ja, das ist sehr gut. Ich liebe das. Sorry.
But that did have music. That had music and narration, and it was really good. I mean, all round great audio experience.
I think I've had that, and often like with even radio shows, you have interludes with like little like music. There's the Archers in it, that famous theme tune. I can't even remember it now, but it's that very famous sort of like, you might even consider it to be like cottagey kind of like music. That's a little like ditty like theme tune kind of stuff, intermittently played like sort of throughout radio broadcasts, and that's just I guess another way of maybe signaling to the viewer like this is what you're listening to, that's ingrained in you, now you know what's going on. Or just like as a segue between scenes.
I think I know what you mean. I can't remember the tune either, but I know what you mean.
It's like probably get copyrighted if I got it right. So but you go look up
by every radio broadcaster.
Look up the Archers theme tune if you want that. But it's not that good or anything. It's just
it's just in the background.
It's kind of
It's like
a radio like I think it's like I don't know if it's the longest running radio show ever.
I don't know.
Or maybe the longest running in Britain. Something like that. But pretty much that's I guess where we're coming to, isn't it? Just sort of a new and improved forms of art for some things. What's your take on it, Dan? What do you want? Do you think that books and films are just completely separate things, or do you think they are intertwined and that people should borrow story elements? Because even you can even have films about poems.
I think generally, if you make a film about a book, then I would say they're pretty similar. Like they're related. But if you just take a random book and a random film, I would still see them as very separate entities, and not. I'd evaluate their quality based on other things.
Yeah.
But let's say I keep going back to Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry, but let's say I read Lord of the Rings and then I watched the films. I know for one the dialogue stayed very true in the film. Like to the book, like almost every line is used.
Oh, really?
Which is impressive. So I would say that Lord of the Rings' film is very good, as someone who's read a little bit of the first book so far. But like, I can't find anything to complain about.
Yeah.
But let's say what have I? Oh, here's an example of a bad film, which had a decent book. When one of those teen books which you read when you're like 13, and you're like, wow, this is so deep. Do you ever read Divergent, or do you know what Divergent is?
Yes.
The camera.
The camera.
God. Be right back.
Okay, be right back. Divergent. Yes. While Dan goes to do that, and there's a technical difficulties thing above. Yes. Okay, we're back. Hello. Divergent. Yeah, that's like some Hunger Games type shit, innit?
Yeah, kind of. It's
I think I saw the film of
yeah. If unless I'm like completely wrong, there's like I'm reading remembering the completely wrong book. It's obviously some dystopian future, and there's like 4 factions, and like at the age of something, you like get split into one of these 4 factions, and like one's like erudite, I think they're like the clever blokes and gals who do science, and then there's like the workers and the fighters and
so edgy.
Either way, the book itself was like, yeah, man, this is deep as hell. But then the film was shit. And I think that's just one of those cases where it's like, yeah, not. That's where I'd definitely take the book over the film. I think generally I would take a book over a film, just because, I engage more with a film with a book than I do with a film. But like, here's a different question. Maybe we're comparing them wrong. What about a book versus a painting?
Well, that's one of the things I was just going to come on to. Would you consider a film to be that is based on a book, say like the Harry Potter series? Mm-hmm. Would you consider that to be an imitation of art or art itself?
I would say, because certain elements of the film, I would say are art. Like the cinematography is art. The story itself, imitation.
Okay, because that's also interesting, because you can sort of maybe transmute it and like change the story to fit it. And so I wouldn't even have an answer for that. I don't even know. I just thought that like I guess as a criticism of art that is directly lifted from that. I mean, obviously, originality is overrated. Everything borrows from everything. You will experience art, and maybe 10 years later, you have an idea or something that even stems from that, like, and you wouldn't even know it. But like the improvisation on that, and it kind of feels like an original idea because it mostly is. However, someone somewhere has written about it before. Yeah. So that kind of, I guess view of things maybe is a bit flawed as viewing something as an imitation. Because everything's kind of an imitation. But then again, it is sort of it's sort of, I guess, so unoriginal. I guess the idea itself is so unoriginal, which might be the problem, because maybe like the thing that births like an entire novel that maybe borrows elements, maybe that should be original. That should be like that should be your own thought that you come to yourself. And if it isn't, then maybe that's flawed. But maybe only you know that. So like a Harry Potter film kind of thing, like obviously there is no like maybe additional art involved in just lifting the storyline from the Harry Potter books to the film. Yeah. But like if you had come up with something that was maybe sort of about the wizarding kind of world, and you had like you sort of a unique idea, but maybe it existed in part of like the Harry Potter universe or something, maybe that is art and not an imitation, just because of the fact that you've kind of had that kernel brought about maybe by your own sort of means. I
think maybe if it's like original to your mind,
like reflective of stuff that's gone on in your life that only you've experienced. But going back to your comments about the book versus painting, I mean, because even last podcast we touched on the Baroque era, and how that the art there was designed to teach sort of religious stories to the people, and sort of reflected in the movement and things of the painting. So if a book is designed to tell a story, you could say, because I mean, even calling a book designed to tell a story is wrong, because maybe do you think that all films and books, do you think all pieces of art are stories? Because that could be construed different ways. Because I think you could maybe even write a book that's purely symbolic, but it's much easier to maybe to draw a painting up that is purely symbolic and doesn't actually tell a story. Yeah,
definitely.
But then you could, I guess if you could, muddy the definitions, you could call it a story.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point. Like, how do you write a symbolic book without including a story? In the same way, how do you write a symbolic? How do you make a painting include a story? Yeah, and I think obviously it's been done because like a lot, like the great like artists, that if you look at their paintings, there's so much story, like so much emotions, and you can definitely there's definitely a story to every painting of, like, you know, I'm going to go back to Van Gogh, but like you look at his paintings, there's a story. Like, you just have to look at it and like, wow, okay, like you can already imagine like what the like, say there's a subject in it, what the subject is thinking, what the subject has been through, maybe their past. You can take a few guesses at, you know, the kind of life they live, and suddenly you're already building a story in your mind, and I think that makes paintings very powerful. That being said, they're also symbolic.
No, I do like that. That's perfect, because you look at some of Van Gogh's paintings, some of him in the wheat field sort of thing, you know, drawing up images of people with, oh my god, scythes. Did we? I think we talked about this in the last.
Possibly.
Scythe, yeah, like sort of going around the scythe, sort of, you know, getting all the wheat up. And in that moment, when you see that, you can imagine, okay, what was his life like before? What happened
led up to this?
To lead up to that moment that was sort of immortalized in art, and what happened afterwards? And so in that, I guess maybe you can't make art that, I guess, is invulnerable to stories, because I guess that's the whole point. Maybe even if there is not a story explicitly being told to you, you know, there's a story to be found, as well as the fact that even if a story is being told to you, there may be symbolic meaning to it, and that is separate to the story, and the story is only used kind of as a vessel, kind of to.
Yeah, I mean, not the artist doesn't necessarily even have to like attach a story to his painting or creation. Like a lot of the time, just the observer will create a story in their mind. Like the artist might just draw some squiggles, like whatever, modern art, and then suddenly, you know, you get art critics saying, "Oh, look at these evocative colours used. You can tell that this red square had been through a lot of shit."
That's perfect. I mean, that's it. And I guess it all maybe comes back to it kind of being, I guess, reflective of sort of like personal circumstances, and I guess because everyone's the main character in their own story. So, you know, in that, like, there's everything you do is pretty much your story. So even the art you create, I think, if you create a piece of art for something, you're giving that a life of its own, and an ability for that to interact with other people's stories and make other people's stories as well.
Yeah, I think I was watching a Vlog Brothers video yesterday.
Oh yeah,
I think it must have been Hank. Watching. He's like, he was
the boy.
He was like writing a book or something, writing a new book, and he was like, he dreamed up this character. And then after a while, he decided, no, I don't want this character anymore. And suddenly you've brought into existence this person, this story, this, you know, like almost a life, and just like that, you've wished it away and it's gone, and no one will ever know about this thing you created.
Oh my god!
And it's like existential, first of all, but it's like that's another story there which you could just. Well, I mean, that's a story I've been told, but then that's another story which I'll never know.
But even though you don't even know the story, like, you know of his, you know
he existed for a bit, and now you wonder
he existed, and now you wonder. Now you dream up his own story. Yeah. So now you can write a book about the character that Hank Green forgot, or that Hank Green didn't like, and you could even make a story about that, or anything else, infinitely else, and. You know, that there can be zero justification, or there can be a million. Like, it's just completely up to you.
Yeah, but could you make a film about the book, the character which got deleted?
I think you'd struggle, but I think it's possible.
Yeah,
I think you could do that, because you could like mock up like Hank, like a sort of like a green screen Hank Green's mind, his brain, and then you just draw like a little dude running about on the canvas kind of thing, and that'd be perfect. You know, I'd love that. But I mean, that's what, and people, I think we do love putting labels on things for some things, like, you know. Because obviously, you know, you could even consider audiobooks to be music, but we call them audiobooks because they don't feature instruments. So maybe that's just us being pedantic. But you could call that music because although it's spoken word, it's still, you know, lyrics can be spoken word.
There you go.
A cappella, exactly. And so that, I think we do focus, I think, a bit too much on maybe labels, and that's why sort of a painting with writing on it, is that a book now? What, you know, like that kind of thing. Maybe there are specific definitions that we've given words, but that's just us putting more labels on shit to try and stop us putting more labels on stuff. Yeah. So I mean, and that's why everything's sort of subdivided into genres. You know, like realism, impressionism. all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like where, okay, maybe that was of an era, but like, who has the authority to tell you the line, between those things? I don't think there is any kind of line. I think just experience the art as it is, and maybe don't think about what it is so much. Maybe just enjoy it for the sake of it.
Yeah.
I'd probably say. But yeah, getting a bit too profound here.
We don't know. We love a profound segment.
We love a profound segment.
There's nothing wrong with a profound thought.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, do you have anything else to add, Funk?
I'm just trying to think. There was a thought which popped into my mind and it's escaped me. But
no!
It's
disaster.
No, it was just going back to like putting labels on things and like the thing is, would you call it everything which has been created to tell some sort of story? Would you just call it art? Because I'm like thinking like if I went to watch the movies, there go another label. Would I then say, oh, I'm going to watch a moving art? Or a moving art with sound art.
Well, I guess for something, cause, I mean, I think anything maybe that's a creation could even be considered art for some things.
Culinary art.
I consider
myself quite the artist.
Majoring in culinary arts. That's a lyric from, Outcast of Gemini. Great album. Listen to it. God, I'm listening to way too much music.
That's good. I like it.
That's. I think anything we create for some things can be construed maybe as art. Apart
from this podcast.
Yeah. Bitch, we're independent. We're
can't label us.
We've transcended.
We've transcended art.
We've transcended art, bitch. We're in your mind. We got permanent residence there now. What are you gonna do about it?
Just pause it. I think not.
Pause it. I think you can't now. Bring yourself to.
Go on.
About a million. Yeah.
There you.
You know what? You're right, Dan. I think it's very tricky, I guess, maybe to put a finger on what is and isn't appropriate and a way to consume art. But like I guess the blunt of it comes down to, for the starter question, like the book versus film, it comes down to kind of how do you want to experience the story? Because if it is the same story, then that's your thing.
I think like there's some people who'll be like, oh, I've read the book, what's the point of seeing the film?
And that's to be honest, that's valid, because maybe they've got this image in their mind, and whenever they think back to it, they've got this image of, like if you took the Hunger Games or something, they've got this Katniss Everdeen image of this like of this maybe this girl with blonde hair or something, or maybe she's maybe she's black, maybe she's African American kind of thing. And even if the writers told you something different, you can construe it, because obviously it's art, and so you could just in your mind you can picture yourself maybe as the protagonist, and despite who you are, even if the protagonist is white or something, you're able to project yourself onto it, and so to you that is your character. And so when you see Jennifer Lawrence acting like she's the person that you conjured up in your mind, which she just completely isn't, that can really affect you.
Maybe if
but like I guess, but when you sort of see a character maybe like John Travolta or Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction, they are those characters, and that's and that's what they are, and you can do anything with them, but that's who they are. Like you've seen them, like and you can't unsee them. However much you want,
however many you want to see that movie.
But everyone wants to see John Travolta and Sam Jackson. Come on. But no, and I guess that's maybe where like the paths sort of diverge a little bit, where you've got a bit more artistic license maybe with a book, because it doesn't fill as many of your senses. If it's just feeding your kind of your eyes and your mind, then it's not really doing anything else, for your hearing, for your ears, kind of stuff. And like, because obviously films and things interact with writing.
I think I would disagree with the notion that it would be a waste of time to watch the film after having read the book, because ultimately, if you go into it with the go into it thinking, this is just a different interpretation of the story I've read, then suddenly it's it's almost like a whole new story, because you want to see how someone else thought about the book which you've read, and if share similarities with how they felt. And I know for one that had I not I keep going back to fucking Lord of the Rings, but had I not seen the Lord of the Rings films, I would have imagined all the characters so differently.
Yeah. But that's good that you sort of keep talking about, because obviously, you know, that's something that you're thinking about right now, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, I guess it's all on my mind.
But yeah, because you know, you don't necessarily. I mean, I'll say this, like, I guess, into contradiction to maybe what you just said, is that you might not want, because you might view it as damaging even to learn of a new interpretation of an art that you maybe hold as sanctimonious.
That could
so there could be, because obviously, you know, fear is the biggest motivator, sometimes, and like, the fear maybe of having your rendition, your mind's rendition of someone's art can be damaged because, you know, another kind of art maybe just tried to colour it and you don't like that and you reject it, and then maybe that taints it because you can't stop thinking about it whenever you maybe want to revisit the original. So I guess, you know, you can be pedantic, and you can also, if you're strong-minded enough, and you're strong-willed enough, and you want to, then you can definitely go into a film and you can be like, put the book behind you. The book is a separate thing. I enjoyed the book in and of itself. That's who Frodo is in my mind. Now let's, as you said, have a look at Frodo from someone else's perspective. Yeah. Have a look what the real life Frodo, you know, might look like. Yeah. And that's absolutely fine. And you know, if you're capable of doing that, then 100% there's no other way. You've got to do that. However, I guess some people maybe just shy away from that just because of the fact that they don't want what an art that, you know, piece of art, something that they hold so highly. And that's what we do. We do put on pedestals pieces of art. We don't view it as something. We don't even view it as human creation, because of the, you know, we're not the person who. Sometimes maybe you'd view your own art as sort of like your creation, and you'd be proud of it, but you'd view it as such like a human like thing. But maybe someone else's art you kind of view as like transcends that. You know, it doesn't. It's not. You know, it doesn't feel human because it's not you. It's not your story. You haven't created that, so it's hard to maybe comprehend how someone's come up with it. But yeah. Just talking nonsense at this point from my perspective, sorry. And do you have anything else to add, Daniel?
Any closing remarks? I think, for one thing, is that if you've seen the film, that's not an excuse to not read the book. Yeah. I think even if the book and film are like identical, all the details from the book are included in the film, it's still a different experience. So that's my only closing remark.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, and I guess mine is just like, I mean, you know, we've basically failed to answer a very simple question. We've given you a lot of answers. We've given you a lot to think about. A lot to think about on this very basic topic. We're sorry you got in too deep here. I think we'll let you go now. We'll stop filling your head with books and films and all manner of what else. But thank you very much for listening.
But just before you step out the front door, so to speak, though, you know, we have a few things you need to follow.
Ooh,
that being, you know, you've got the Instagram, which is LongWalk with a 0 for the O.
Ooh, yeah.
We're just that cool. What else have we got? SoundCloud, if you're onto that and not listening on Spotify, or if you want to listen on Spotify and SoundCloud, fair enough. There's just The Long Walk on there. YouTube, The Long Walk, and guess what we're called on Spotify? You guessed it, The Long Walk. We also have a website, www.thelongwalk.live. You will find
.live.
You'll find, you know, this podcast as well as articles on In Vogue and Out of Vogue on all manner of things art.
Yes, and that's what we're going to leave you with today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to follow everything and keep tuned to the website. It's been a little bit sort of, I guess, sparse recently, and that's just because of our movements. We're doing too many things, but we're going to film it. Yeah. We're going to fill it. We're going to fill that space with lots and lots of good,
lots of new content coming over the next few weeks and months.
Keep coming back if you'd like to. If you'd like, give us any feedback. It's always welcome, and we'll catch you in the next one.
It's been an absolute honour. I'll see you soon. Well, we'll see you soon. We'll both see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.